Welcome to the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast with Russo and Jordy.
All right, guys, it is Friday, September 20th, and we are going to talk about what we witnessed last night. A little bit of a disappointing game for fantasy. I mean, probably not. I mean, if you had some of these Jets players, you're really happy with the outcome for fantasy football. For daily fantasy, it was rough on the Patriots side of things. And unfortunately, I took a lot of it. I mean, for God's sake, Hunter Henry was my start of the week at tight end. So that, you have to have a functional offensive plan for Hunter Henry to be able to come close. I think he had like 2 targets on the night. We'll break all that down. We're going to recap the game from last night, and we're going to preview the Sunday slate, and we're going to get into some DraftKings lineups. Before we do, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, give us a like. We really appreciate the support. And we want to talk just briefly about our partner, Underdog. They're continuing to run specials. If you haven't signed up for Pick'ems or like Underdog Pick'em Champions, they have all sorts of cool stuff over on the Underdog platform. They also have best ball tournaments. You can still draft every week. It's a lot of fun. And if you use code Backdoor or go through the link in the description of the video, they're going to give you up to $1,000 bonus cash and a free pick for Pick'em and Pick'em Champions. And they're running discounts all the time. I think they've got like a free play on the board as well right now. Last time I checked, I think it was CD Lamb. Yeah, CD Lamb, 0.5 yards. So they also have a 30% profit boost. They have a gimme pick where you can just take any play you like. Oh yeah, $25 max. They bumped up the last time I was playing, it was like a $10 max, but you got up to 25 on all these. So a lot of fun over there. Dude, they're actually loaded right now. They got the no sweat token as well, which is one of my favorites. You just make your own, basically a protected play.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun over there on Underdog. So use code Backdoor, get up to $1,000 bonus cash, a free pick, and then take advantage of all these goodies. And we've been talking about it every episode, but on the mobile app, the ridiculous amount of alt plays that they added, like I didn't even hear that was coming. And then we just started checking it, and it was like, my gosh, there's ridiculous alt plays on here. So yeah, it's a lot of fun over there. I mentioned it in a couple episodes, but they'll let you just make random alt plays that go up to like 9, almost 10x on a single play. So you can like, I made a 2-man play last night that was like in the 30s, like the things that Jordy used to say about Chalkboard that I would have to correct him on. I'm like, dude, they don't go that high.
Yeah.
Like Underdog's doing that now. So it's a lot of fun. Hop on the platform, take advantage of that. And if you enjoy the show, that's a good way to support us because we're partners with them. So we all win a little bit. But let's talk about last night's game now. I mean, I'll kind of start with Hunter Henry. My start of the week, if you watched our props show, I took his receiving yards at 33.5, but like I took it at 34.5, 33.5. Me personally, I made demons on Prize Picks with it at 49.5. I bumped up slips on Underdog to 49.5. I took so much, and the only one that cashed was he had 0.5 receiving yards for the first quarter on Underdog and a 1.5 on Prize Picks. Those cashed, and it was all downhill from there, or uphill. I don't know what the right terminology is, but it was bad. Jacoby Brissett ends the day with 12 completions for 98 yards on 18 attempts.
So bad.
Now you would think, okay, they weren't passing the ball that much. Well, they had a total of 11 rushing attempts for 52 yards. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there trying to figure out, like we didn't expect the Patriots to win that game. I thought they could. I thought it would be close, but Vegas had the Patriots projected at like around 16 points. So even Vegas was not expecting 3 points. But what do you think was going on there? I know there was bad play calling, but
yeah, I mean, bad play calling, zero confidence. Like, I think it was just a total like defensive mismatch for the Patriots. I think they were kind of swamped and they didn't really know what to do. But I mean, you got to get something going. Like I took Ramondre Stevenson's targets on our pick show for over 3.5. It was a perfect game script for that. It was literally exactly what I wanted. I was like, cool, it's a blowout. You know, they're going to start targeting their backs here. No, they didn't.
He didn't get a single target.
No, and either did Antonio Gibson. And it's like,
Antonio
he had 3
Gibson
receptions. Okay.
At the very end, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 8 yards. Like when the game was out of control.
Yeah, it's like, so you have, you know, one of the best pass catching backs in Antonio Gibson, but why do you wait so long? Like, they had plenty of opportunities all over the field to just kind of try to get things going, and it just looked like there were some deer in headlights. So I don't really know. Like, honestly, that was such a weird game. I don't even know what, like, the real reason. You know, Drake May came in at the end. That was kind of cool to see. I think he's going to be pretty good in the future. I think
didn't look any better though last night, unfortunately.
No, I mean, they didn't really give him enough time. Yeah.
No, they waited till the very end. But like, I think for one, we were a little bit, you know, with weeks 1 and 2, with the way the Jets were looking as a team, it's one of those things in hindsight where you're like, oh yeah, this is the Jets defense. I remember now, like, because they just weren't really showing out great in the first couple of weeks. So I think a little bit of it was like the Jets defense reminding us of who they are. But I just don't understand. Like, the reason I said the play calling is because as a head coach, how do you not make any adjustments, like, to just get something going? Like, are you really that checkmated the entire game? Like, your starting quarterback who played for the majority of the game ends with 12 completions for 98 yards.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but those first 2 games, they were just running the ball a ton, and like week 1 and 2, and they couldn't establish the run. And it's like, turns out you don't know what to do if you can't just run it a million times. So, I mean, Braylon Allen had the same amount of carries as the entire Patriots offense, like the running backs anyways.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, 11 for 55.
It blows my mind how little Jalen Polk is involved in this offense. It's like, why'd you even draft a wide receiver if you're just not even going to utilize him whatsoever? Like, Jalen Polk is really, really good, and he's just not getting the opportunities. It's kind of weird. Like, their whole offense, like last week, they went crazy on targeting Hunter Henry, and they got their run game going, and it looked like, okay, you guys aren't really planning on going down the field with any long passes or anything. It's just like a bunch of short yardage, eat the clock, control the game. So I thought, you know, in this game that they were going to do the same thing, where it was going to be like, establish the running game, feed your receivers short distance, and just kind of keep the game going that way. But they didn't have any identity whatsoever. Like, they can't run the ball. They don't know what to do. The game's over. Like, that's just kind of what it seems like with them right now.
Yeah. And I mean, the Jets were just getting anything they wanted on defense and offense, but like, Jacoby Brissett looked terrified for his life on those snaps. Like, they were getting through so quick. And I know that they've got, like, you know, offensive line issues, but just a really boring game. Other than, it was good. I mean, Rodgers looked great. Rodgers looked vintage. 35 attempts, 27 completions, 281 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He was out there running too. 3 carries for 18 yards. Like, it was good for them. It was good to see the Jets like kind of like look good. So we saw more play from Mike Williams. He pulled down 3 receptions, 34 yards. Garrett Wilson grabbed a touchdown. But it's just funny to me because you have the Jets, you know, dominating this game, and even with the lead, they're still targeting their running backs and throwing them passes. And then you've got on the opposite side of the ball, you guys are down by a lot, and it doesn't look good, and you're not just even trying to get something short going, like targeting the running backs a little bit. And you talked about Antonio Gibson, but Ramondre Stevenson's a really good pass catcher too. So
yeah,
just completely baffled at what we witnessed last night. But I mean, we move on. You know, there's going to be games like this across the, you know,
for sure,
season. This was just one of those games, which we were kind of saying going into this, we don't totally know what to expect, but I thought it would be a little bit more competitive than that. But
yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. All right. Let's look forward to the Sunday slate.
Let's do it.
Enjoy sports betting and daily fantasy? Well, Daily Grind is here to help you beat the books. They make premium DFS tools that do all the work for you, comparing lines across just about every platform, looking for discrepancies for you to take advantage of. Start off your research with their DFS Optimizer, a tool that finds all the best plays and rates them with their odds to hit indicator. Or if you'd rather have them make your entire slip for you, they have you covered with their AI slip generator. They'll even notify you when a new slip is available. Go to dgfantasy.com and use code Backdoor. They will give you 25% off your first subscription all the way up to a year if you want. That's dgfantasy.com, code Backdoor.
So starting at the 1 o'clock window, we've got Broncos versus the Buccaneers. 40-point over under. Buccaneers favored by 6.5. What do you think? You think this? I know this Broncos defense is actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to be able to strap them up and keep it within 6.5?
I think that's fair. I could see it being like, 24-12 or something like that. I can see it being kind of close, but not like.
Well, it's not 6.5.
Yeah.
12.
I mean,
but
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's going to be 6.5, but I think it's going to be a little bit over that. Like, I could see like 10.5, 12.5. I don't think the Broncos have enough of an offense to score on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they'll probably get 1 or 2, maybe. If they're lucky, they'll get 2. But I think Tampa Bay is just clicking in all areas right now. They took it to Detroit, so I think the Broncos are in for a nightmare. I think Drake May's we're probably gonna see not Drake May, but Bo Nix. I think we're gonna see like 2 interceptions from Bo Nix, probably, is my guess.
Yeah, I mean, for fantasy, I still like I think, what do you think, most of the attention is going to be going to Mike Williams? Or do you think it's going to be Godwin? Because Godwin's been really
Mike Evans.
Yeah, what did I say?
Mike Williams. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. They're still going to be focusing on that trash game from last night. No, but Mike Evans. Yeah, always correct me because I've done that in so many episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Evans is definitely going to get a lot of attention, like for the deep.
Who's their 10 on is what I want to know.
Oh, probably Mike. He's the only one that can like match up physically with Mike Evans. But man, Godwin's been on a tear. So
yeah,
Godwin is like, he reminds me so much of almost like a Julian Edelman type, where it's like he gets what he wants in the middle of the field. There's not a single person who can cover him in the mid to short range routes. Like, he's just so insane. He's playing, I think, some of the best ball of his career right now. Like, he's just been incredible.
Yeah, and they were moving him all around last year. And then they made it a point. They talked about it. They're gonna give him a lot more snaps in the slot.
Yeah,
and it looks like it's worked like a charm. I know that. I'm pretty sure that they doubled his slot snaps. So
yeah,
it's working out great. So yeah, I think that's what I was kind of, when I was building out. I was kind of like, I wonder who. I think it might be a sneaky day for Godwin, because isn't Rachaad White a little bit banged up?
Yeah, that's another interesting point. I'm curious to see how Bucky does. I think Bucky is pretty solid too, and I think if Rachaad ends up missing the game, I think let's just take a look here. I think
he's questionable, but I don't have like notes on him.
Okay.
Oh wait, yeah, he is practicing. He did practice today.
Okay, so yeah, you probably see more of a, like, it's actually been looking more like that every week, where his usage is just going down. I mean, Rachaad White has not looked fantastic this year. I mean, first game, 15 attempts for 31 yards. He kind of redeemed himself with the 6 targets for 6 receptions and 75 yards. But last game against Detroit, like, they have a good defense, don't get me wrong, but you got to find yards, man. That's the thing I hate about this guy. 10 carries for 18 rushing yards. You're averaging 1.8 yards a carry. Like, that's the Rachaad White story with me. Is like, it's kind of like DeAndre Swift. If he doesn't have a massive hole to run through, he's not getting you yards after contact. So, like, forget about that. So that's always been my biggest gripe with Rachaad White, and it's kind of why we were low on him this year. is if you watch the film, he just never gets yards after contact. Like if he gets tackled, he falls down. If he gets hit, he falls down. There's no like bouncing off tackles. There's a little bit of that, but he was the lowest.
It's always after the catch though. It's like he's decent at yards after the catch, but not at yards after contact when he's running.
Yeah.
That's like what the line you just listed is a classic. Like that's Rachaad White in the dictionary.
Yeah. Well, and I pulled up a stat line.
Bad running, good pass catching.
Yeah. I pulled up a stat line in the right before week 1 where amongst 48 running backs, Rachaad White was the lowest in yards after contact. So you had guys who were not even starting who had more yards after contact than Rachaad White. So it's pretty rough with him when it comes to that, but he is good. I mean, he does the job, but he's a volume guy. You know, I think the same thing about Najee Harris. I don't think Najee Harris is that good. I just think he gets a lot of touches. So,
Najee's not good.
No,
but I think that this is a perfect backfield for Rachaad White being just like legitimately a passing down back because he's so good at catching the ball.
Yeah, he is.
But and Bucky Irving seems to be a better runner. So, but yeah, if Rachaad White were to miss this game, like Bucky's definitely interesting. So, all right. So next up, we also have the New York Giants versus the Cleveland Browns. 38.5 over under. Browns favored by 6.5. Could there be a more boring matchup?
Yeah, I will I'll turn that game on for my mid-afternoon nap.
I mean,
sure.
What I want to know is Amari Cooper gonna break out this week? Because he's been getting heavily targeted. Week 1, 9 targets, two receptions, 16 yards. Week 2, 8 targets, 3 receptions, 11 yards. Like, you have to, it's not like the targets aren't there. Are they great targets? Probably not. Deshaun Watson doesn't look very good, but yeah, I've just been waiting because I do have him in some, fantasy leagues, and it's hard when he's getting those kind of targets to not want to put him in there, but you're like, but this is like 2 weeks in a row he's getting the targets, he's just not producing. So
yeah, it's hard because I think Amari Cooper is one of the best route runners in the league. Like when you just watch how good he is, he was a Cowboy for a while, so I really got to understand how good his routes were. But I just think it's a quarterback play. I think that team just really does not have a great identity on the offensive side of the ball. I think it'll get a lot better for them when Nick Chubb comes back, if he comes back healthy. We'll just see how that return works out. But I think it just looks weird. Like I could see a world where they lose this game. I'm not even kidding.
That's why I was like, dang, you're pretty confident that 6.5 spread. Like they're giving the Browns the same spread as they're giving the Buccaneers against the Broncos.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of weird, and I think that the Giants, they don't look good, but they look like they're figuring it out a little bit more each week, and at least they heavily targeted Malik Neighbors.
Yeah,
I still like Malik Neighbors this week in a tough matchup, but when you're getting that kind of volume, and even Devin Singletary, like him or not, he's dominating that backfield. He's getting like 70% of the snaps, so low or a solid floor, but not really a high ceiling for Singletary. But yeah, there's not like a whole lot to be excited about for fantasy in this matchup. Next up, we got Chargers Steelers, 36-point over under. Steelers favored by 1.5. That's interesting to me.
Well, I did just see that Justin Herbert's questionable.
Okay.
I think that planner's foot's coming back on him.
Yeah, didn't he get a different injury though?
Probably. Let me see if he's Justin Herbert.
High ankle sprain.
Ugh, yeah, that's rough. Yeah. He hasn't been playing great this year anyway, but
I mean, what are they, 2-0 though, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they win both of their games?
Yeah, I mean, they played the Raiders and then they played Carolina, so take that as you will. But against the Raiders, 26 attempts for 17 completions, 144 yards, 1 touchdown. Carolina, I don't know if he got hurt in that game, but 20 attempts for 14 completions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. It just, he had 6 rushing attempts in that game, so maybe he did get hurt in that game. But, I don't know. Like the Chargers offense, it's really run heavy. So that also is another reason his attempts are low. But Also, like their wide receiver situation is just a little weird. Like it's looking like Quentin Johnston's finally catching the ball, so he's looking like the first round talent that he should be. But
Well, he did last week.
yeah,
Small sample size, and two of them happen to be touchdowns.
right.
But we might not know. We might not have a verdict on Quentin Johnston if Justin Herbert's out now too. So
right.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anything on the Steelers side you'd like?
Yeah, I mean, I like I like Pat Freiermuth. I think he's always solid. I like the connection he's got going with Justin Fields. Whether or not Justin Fields is going to remain the starter or if it's going to be Russell Wilson, I don't really know how they're going to do all that. It looks like Fields has got the job, but I think I could see the Steelers maybe winning this game. Obviously, if Herbert's out, I think the Steelers will win this game. I just think the Steelers defense is that good. I mean, they got Patrick Queen, they got Fitzpatrick, they got just so much talent on the defensive side of the ball that's just dominant. So when their defense is healthy, I mean, they look like I said, I've been saying it all 2 weeks so far. But I think they're a top 3 defense for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I still like J.K. Dobbins just because he's so electric right now. Like, this is going to be a really tough matchup, but they may go super run heavy like Green Bay did with Jordan Love out. So, I mean, I'm not, if I had J.K. Dobbins, like I'm still just firing him up.
Absolutely.
He's one of those guys that you just need one play for him to break out.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the fun one. I can't wait for this game. Eagles versus Saints, 49.5 point over under. Saints are favored now by 3. Earlier on in the week, they had the Eagles favored by like 2 points. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
That's crazy.
Maybe that was when they thought there was a chance for AJ Brown to play. I still don't know if he's for sure out, but he's doubtful now. So I just want to see the Saints come in here and do it again for the 3rd week, dude. I want to see them over 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints look awesome. Like there's nothing I don't like about the Saints right now. They're Alvin Kamara is just completely dominant. Derek Carr is slinging the ball, and there's not much more to say. I mean, we'll just have to see what it looks like. I think this is going to be obviously their toughest. I don't know. I thought Dallas would be their toughest matchup, but
yeah, you would think.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. I don't really even know how this game's going to go. I'm just excited to watch it.
It's got that super high over under almost 50 points, so I can't wait. I like Devontae Smith, even though the Saints have a solid defense like we saw last week. I thought with AJ Brown out, the Falcons defense is decent, but he was still he plays much bigger than he actually is. Very impressive because he's not an AJ Brown, but he's deceivingly physical and gets up there in those contested catches. And so yeah, this is going to be a fun one, man. I can't wait for that one. Obviously all of your typical studs, Saquon, you're starting. Hurts, you're not going to not start. I like Derek Carr in this game. Like you said, Kamara looks good. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have Texans, Vikings. This will be a good one too. 46 point over under. Texans favored by 2. Okay. Yeah, I think that feels about right because the Vikings defense is legit. They look solid and they have a pretty solid offense too. I think Jordan Addison is probably going to miss one more week. He's only questionable. He's not tagged as doubtful yet, but I can't wait for him. Even the first week we get Jordan Addison back, I'm really excited now as a Jordan Addison owner. Yeah. Because this offense looks solid. Sam Darnold fits right in with Kevin O'Connell, his playing style. And so I was really bummed as a dynasty owner of Jordan Addison coming into this year. I was kind of already preparing myself for, we're going to see how the other receivers do because I've got JSN and Jaden Reed, and I've got a lot of guys that I'm looking to take that next step. And all of a sudden, with the way this Vikings offense looks, I'm really excited. But as soon as he's back, I'm obviously, like a lot of you probably are, I'm going to give it a week and just watch and make sure he's totally good to go. But I can't wait for him to get back in this offense because I think with the way this offense is clicking, when you've got Justin Jefferson drawing all that attention, I can't wait to see what Jordan Addison's going to be able to do once he's fully healthy.
Yeah, because look at Jalen Naylor. That dude has been popping off because of all the attention that Jefferson's getting. So
Yeah,
I think Addison's a lot better than Naylor too, so it's gonna look really good.
me too. Very excited. Obviously, on the Texans side of things, even though we talked about this defense being tough, we're very high on Nico Collins still this
Oh yeah,
week.
I'll be starting him.
Obviously, yeah, obviously, if you have Nico on your team, nobody's benching Nico. You know what I mean? Like,
All right,
who's gonna do
relax.
that?
Relax.
but yeah, I think Joe Mixon, we'll see. I think that he is questionable still. Like, I'll pull him up real quick. Yeah, still questionable. Oh, no, he practiced today. Oh, not seen practicing Friday. So
Okay.
yeah, that's not a good sign. When your stud doesn't practice Friday, they're probably not playing. But I do I don't know. What do you think? Is Cam Akers actually, did he come down with something too? Because Akers could be sneaky.
I don't know. Cam Akers
he's
gets
good.
hurt rolling out of bed, so I'll see.
I think it was Pierce. I know one of the other guys.
Yeah, Pierce is questionable.
Yeah, Akers could be sneaky.
Yeah.
He seemed like he fit right in. He actually looked better than Dameon Pierce with his opportunities last week.
7 attempts for 32 yards, 4.5 yards a carry. So he did fumble. Yeah, he did fumble the ball. I mean, that could just be nerves and getting back out there. You never really know. Like, I think he'll clean that up. But yeah.
Let's talk about why you should be using Chalkboard, the daily fantasy platform that runs specials every day of the week. Build plays for as low as $1 and enjoy the wide variety of alt lines. The higher the line, the higher the payout. It's that simple. Once you've made your picks, you can go whole hog with their max cash option or insure yourself with their shield play option. Download Chalkboard on your Apple or Android device and use code Backdoor for a 100% deposit match.
All right. So next up, we have the Packers and the Titans. Packers versus the Titans, 38-point over under. Titans favored by 2. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, even if Jordan Love is out, I do not like anything about the Titans right now. Only thing I like about the Titans is Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard is playing pretty well. I think Will Levis is making some crazy plays in the way, I mean, mistakes, not really plays, but obviously Will Levis has kind of been the joke for the last 2 weeks, where like he's doing these crazy passes that are costing them the game. But you know, up until these points where he starts to just completely have a mental breakdown, they do look a little competent. Like, they're running the ball well. They are, you know, he also runs the ball, so you kind of get like that dual threat thing going, but he's not really throwing the ball too well. So, I mean, what does DeAndre Hopkins have, like 2 targets over 2 weeks? Like,
yeah, they got Calvin Ridley heavily involved last week, which was exciting because they were talking coming into the season that they want him to be the Jamar Chase of this offense. So he ended up going he got 6 targets, 4 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown. But it's not showing me. I don't know why it doesn't show me on the desktop version for Sleeper. But yeah, I know he had a rushing touchdown too, didn't he? I'm pretty sure.
Let's see here. Calvin Ridley.
I should have had this ready to go. I have I can, for some reason on mobile you can get it. I know he did. I know he had
a 10-yard rushing touchdown.
Okay, and yeah, so just the 1 rush attempt. But here's my take on Will Levis. It doesn't look good right now, but it's stuff that he just has to stop doing. It's not like, it doesn't look like Jacoby Brissett last night. You know, like, this is like decision type stuff. So if they can get that under control and just say, hey, stop making these dumb mistakes. Like, when you get when you feel inclined to Superman and then throw the ball backwards, just say no to that impulse. Like, if you can correct those things, and the Texans, or I'm sorry, there I go again. The Titans defense has actually been a little sneaky this year.
Yeah.
But like the Colts struggled against that Green Bay defense last week with Malik Willis. They lost that game, like,
Yeah.
so the Packers, I think, like, they essentially, and I blame the offensive approach a little bit for that last week, because we were talking about that, like Anthony Richardson, one rushing attempt in the first half, like
Yeah.
that, you can't do that. Like, I don't know what that was all about. Like, because the coach, I believe it's Shane Steichen, who I'm a big fan of, but all offseason he was saying, like, essentially, I'm not going to stop Anthony Richardson from running. Yeah, we'll try to clean it up, make sure he's not making himself vulnerable. We don't want to get him injured like the year before, but he essentially said you can't take away his superpower. Well, you did that, and you lost to Jordan Love-less Packers. So
Yeah.
that makes me a little bit like hesitant to think that the Titans are going to win this game. But I believe it is in Tennessee, so maybe a little home field. But 38-point over under, they're expecting some points to be on the board, 2-point spread. So
it's gonna be the
maybe
points that Will Levis gives to them. Honestly,
like,
I think like you look at Will Levis's stats, they're not bad. I mean, 28 for 19, that's a little rough, but 200 yards, a passing touchdown, the one interception, but he's averaging 9.5 yards per carry on the ground. Like when the dude takes off, he looks like, really, really athletic. Like the dude, we've all seen him truck people, we've all seen him do that. So if
catch
he can,
his own interception.
yeah, so if he can just stop doing that, I think he'll be a lot better. Like the fumbles, man, these fumbles are insanity. Like you can't be doing that. He takes way too many sacks. He took 4 in the last game, 3 in the game before that. It sounds funny, but he's giving them out too. So it's just not. He's got to stop making the boneheaded plays. Their offensive line is really bad too. I mean, let's be honest. Like their O-line looks horrible, but Tony Pollard is making do with that O-line too. So if they can just get the run game going and maybe control the game and get up early, I could see him maybe winning the game. But I think the Packers are just a better coached team, to be honest.
Oh yeah, Matt LaFleur is a total G, but I'm pretty excited that that Vegas has this at just a 2-point spread. I'm like trying to figure that out. I'm like, what do you think Love has a better chance to play than we realize this week? Or do you
they probably just assume both quarterbacks are gonna suck. And it's gonna be,
I mean, we'll see. But as far as Pollard too for fantasy, Tajay Spears, I believe, is still questionable.
Yeah, he is.
So
they said he practiced, but he's leaning towards, he's probably gonna be on a snap count, I imagine.
And he hasn't been cutting into Pollard anyway. Nah. So I'll tell you one thing: if Jordan Love is a last minute play, I am absolutely firing up Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, this whole offense looks different if Jordan Love's in there.
Yep.
So all right, Bears Colts, 43.5 over under. Colts favored by 1.5. Really? So is the Colts defense just that bad? Because they weren't that bad last year. Like, did they? Are they just?
I think they just are. I think that's more probably paying homage to the Bears defense. I think the Bears defense looks pretty solid.
Yeah, but 43.5 over under is decent, and you're saying that the Colts are going to win this by 1.5 points. Like, so they are expecting the Bears to put up like 20 something points. 20, like 7. I mean, yeah, because that would be like 24-20 is kind of like what they could see. So I'm like, and I was kind of hesitant because I have Anthony Richardson in my dynasty league. I won week 1, had just heavenly week 1 for me. I put up a ton of points, and Jaden Reed went off. Like everything was looking good, and then all of a sudden I've got Tyreek Hill, Tua's out, and Jordan Love's out, and all my favorite pieces, and then Anthony Richardson looks really bad in week 2, and he gets a garbage time touchdown to get me 12 points total. And
I think he'll play better this week. I really do.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I thought about putting in Baker because I've got Baker as the backup against Denver. And then I heard some analysts talking about I was listening to the fantasy footballers, and Jason Moore was talking about how he would start Baker over Anthony Richardson. And then I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that, but I probably should. And then next thing I know, I listened to another episode from them, and he was like, I've gone completely I've totally 180'd on that. He's like, this is what you're signed up for with Anthony Richardson. Like, you can't have him on your bench and he happens to go for 30. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah. So I'm going to start Richardson, but
that's the situation I fall into with Lamar a lot of the times. I'm like, sometimes Lamar can just put up like a horrible passing game, but then there's those games where he'll go for 100 yards rushing and a couple touchdowns, and it's like, okay, this is why I start Lamar every week.
Yeah. And with Richardson, I'm kind of like, I saw what Green Bay did to him. But again, was that all Green Bay, or was that him getting one rush attempt in the first half? Was it the offense was just not letting him do his thing, and that's why they looked bad the whole time? So maybe that, yeah, I'm kind of like piecing this together between that spread with the Packers and the Titans, and then now this spread with the Bears and the Colts, just 1.5. So I'm optimistic. If Vegas thinks this is going to be close and it's a 43.5 over under, like, okay, let's fire them up. I know the Colts have really bad. Well, now they've got like a really bad on paper, rush defense, because there was no it was Malik Willis last week, so they just ran the ball a ton, and Josh Jacobs was productive with that. So
yeah. This next
that is not a reason.
I can't believe.
Yeah, what's going on? But well, Andy Dalton, we'll get to that though. But I just want to say one note. This does not give me any confidence, because of what Josh Jacobs did last week. Does not give me any confidence in DeAndre Swift.
No.
This week.
Yeah.
Like, so. Anyways, we'll see. I haven't seen Caleb Williams do anything impressive yet, and I'm just kind of like, really, you think it's going to be that close, huh? Do they think the defense is just going to save them again and score a bunch of touchdowns? But all right, let's move on to the Panthers versus the Raiders, who Jordy was just talking about.
Yeah, this is
40
crazy.
point, 40 point over under. Raiders favored by 5. I'm very excited to see this, because I think it's a Bryce Young problem. And I'm seeing all these people coming to his defense and saying, like, this isn't Bryce's fault. I'm like,
I think people just feel bad for him.
Yeah, okay. But show me one Bryce game. Just give me one, because he had a full season last year.
He said like 18 games to prove it.
Yeah. Show me one game where you're like, there it is. Okay, I get it now. I get why he was picked number 1. Like, I can't recall any game where he went for like over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. Like, he's never had a pop-off week, like a top 5 week. And I think Andy Dalton's going to get in there and not turn this franchise around or anything, but I think it's going to be like pretty glaring difference personally.
Yeah. I mean, Andy Dalton is always a fun backup to have, because he's always going to be productive. I mean, the dude is like, when he played with the Cowboys, when Dak got hurt, I was like, okay, like, this sucks, but he was okay. Like, I mean, there was a lot of games where he went like, 40 passing attempts and he would have like 32 completions or something. Like, the dude he's always solid. I mean, he's
fearless.
Yeah, he's a multiple Pro Bowler. Yeah, like, the dude has been around for a long time. He's a savvy veteran, so it's better than Bryce Young. I mean, I'm in the same boat with Russo, where like, Bryce Young hasn't done anything. This is business at the end of the day. You got to perform. You can't feel bad for the kid. They gave up like 5 picks in their entire future for him. So like, the Bears have their 2nd round pick this draft coming up still. So like, they're in the gutter for a long time. Like, it is not going to get better for Carolina for a while unless they make some really good trades, which they're not good at doing. But I think the game's going to be closer, but man, the Raiders defense, like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that close. I still think that the Raiders are going to absolutely stomp them. And I think Andy Dalton's going to he's going to come in there and be fearless, but I think he's going to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's one of those things too. I kind of like situations like this where you've got a backup who was a bona fide starter for a while. When you get these situations where, like a Joe Flacco, where it's like, I've got nothing to lose. I'm at the tail end of my career, and I was good at one point. I was like really good. And so now it's like I'm earning a paycheck, and I'm not I'm not a starter trying to keep my job. Maybe he'll try to, maintain the starting position, but Andy Dalton's going to be competent enough to hold that starter position,
Yeah.
I think. And so they kind of, it's like a low pressure environment for them because they're not like a rookie trying, this is his chance. It's like, no, I've already been through this. Like I'm on the back nine of my career, and I'm going to sling it. And so we're big fans of Dave Canales. So I'm optimistic. I think it's going to get better for the Panthers. And we'll see. I feel like the Raiders defense has actually been kind of underperforming from what I've been expecting.
Their secondary is a little rough. Their front's really good. Their secondary kind of sucks. One thing I'm excited about in that Panthers game, though, I'm taking all the Xavier Legette props I can get because I know Andy Dalton's going to link up with that dude. That dude is too good. He's been open so much. He's actually leading the team in separation. He's just not getting the ball thrown to him. So, seeing Bryce Young try to jump throw over the line and still hit his center in the back of the head with the football. The height thing is crazy because it looks so bad with him. Like you have Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is one of the smartest quarterbacks for his size because he'll roll out of the pocket and he'll just heave the ball and you're like, oh my God, this is a total Hail Mary shot, but he's throwing it right where it needs to be. You're not seeing any of that with Bryce Young. Bryce Young has got cement feet in the pocket. The dude just dies in the pocket. It looks really bad.
You can definitely tell the pressure has gotten to Bryce at this point too.
Yeah.
Like he looks scared. He looks so I hope it's, I don't know. This could be the start of a rough road for Bryce career wise.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it ever comes back, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like this could be career backup at this point. But what was his name back in the day who the Cardinals drafted in that same,
Josh Rosen.
Yeah, this could be a Rosen type career path.
Josh Rosen said he was going to be like Tom Brady. Win as many rings as Tom Brady or something.
All those teams that passed up on him are going to regret it. It's like, bro, you're not Aaron Rodgers. You need to chill. But all right. Sorry, we took a lot of time. We're having fun with this, though.
Yeah.
All right. Dolphins, Seahawks. Okay. 41.5 over under. Seahawks favored by 4.5. This one's a tricky one for me because I've got Tyreek Hill, who I can't bench. You can never put him on the bench. I'm trying to just build, hype myself up to be like Skylar Thompson's he's not going to be Tua, but it's like, it's been bad with Skylar Thompson so far. And it's like, maybe they're going to figure something out. Maybe they'll, Mike McDaniel will figure out some way to scheme Tyreek Hill. I'm not confident for Waddle at all in this game, but I think that they will have to find a way to get the ball in Tyreek's hands. Devon Achane, confident start, I think that he's going to be heavily utilized. But then on the other side of the ball, I've got JSN as well. And, that Miami secondary is pretty solid. So
I think
I'm starting both of them.
Yeah.
But still.
I really hope that they honestly go with Tyler Huntley. I know Skylar Thompson's going to get the start probably this week, but I hope that
short leash.
Yeah.
He'll be on a short leash.
Yeah, I really hope it's Tyler Huntley because I think Tyler Huntley just has more of a dynamic like toolkit. He played in the same high school as Lamar. He's always like kind of grown up behind Lamar and learned from him. And when the Ravens would plug him in, he looks a lot like him. He's obviously not as talented, but I think he's a lot better than Skylar Thompson. So, Yeah.
And this brings me back to my Bryce Young point. We've seen better games from Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we've seen him look more competent. To be fair, I mean, maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic because you would think, that's the thing is like, yeah, I think that is fair because this is not number one overall pick type of play from Bryce. And I'm not trying to just stay on Bryce and hammer him the whole show, but
coming back to you, buddy.
but yeah, But Tyler Huntley, I agree. I think that I don't think that they just went and got him for depth. I think they're like, okay, this is someone who can actually make us a little bit competitive. And if we're going to turn things around, it's probably not going to be Skylar Thompson.
And I think that Mike Daniels is going to have a field day with someone like that as his quarterback. Like, dude, the RPO that he's going to pull off with that guy, I think is going to be so fun.
He's we've seen Mike McDaniel just look, he's so fun, man.
Yeah.
He's one of the best play callers in the game, and we haven't seen that yet, but we don't know what, we didn't really get a large enough sample size to see like what's going on with the Dolphins. It's like then all of a sudden Tua is out, but we've never seen, at least in the NFL, Mike McDaniel with some like a legit mobile quarterback. So you're right, that's going to be fun. Him and Achane,
not one that just throws himself into the fire and anyway. Hey, watch this, coach! Boom, knocked out on the field again. Like,
poor Tua.
I know, and I love Tua, man. I really do. He's an awesome guy. He's a really dope dude. But man, he's got to learn to keep his head out of trauma. Like, it's just the memes I've been seeing everywhere have just been so funny. But it is sad, dude, because it's like he's 26 and he's got 5 concussions under his belt, 4 concussions. Like,
and they're not like,
yourself, man.
They're not like, oh, turns out he had a concussion. It's like, no, that like
you were knocked out, like hands locked up, like
it's sad. And he does have to make a decision, but I don't blame him for being 26 and saying like, I'm not thinking about retiring. Like,
yeah, man, he's just got to protect himself. That's it.
Yeah, and he's so we're praying for him. We hope that he figures out what the best thing for him and his family is. As far as fantasy goes, Achane, I'm still this hasn't shaken my confidence much because of what we saw when Tua went down. It's like Achane came into that game questionable, and we weren't totally sure if he was going to play, and Jeff Wilson was like the number one waiver pickup, and all of a sudden they gave him like 28 carries and 7 receptions. Like, so I'm like, Achane is going to be fine. And I think we see more from Jalen Wright. And Mostert is supposed to come back soon. Yeah. So we'll see how that pans out. So, but yeah, I'm firing up JSN, DK. I believe Zach Charbonnet is going to be starting again this week. It seems like Kenneth Walker is probably going to miss one more week. So I think, honestly, Charbonnet is kind of pulling a Rashad White. He's been bad on the ground. And that was unfortunate because it doesn't like this. He hasn't looked like the prospect that we were profiling coming into the league. But still great pass catcher, almost perfect, catch rating. But I'm confident having him as an RB2 or a flex this week, especially once we confirm. I'm pretty sure, obviously if Kenneth Walker, you're not going to start Charbonnet if Kenneth Walker is playing, but Charbonnet, I have him in leagues and I'm going to be throwing him in the flex or RB2 because I think he'll have a solid game. Yeah. Anyone I'm missing in that game?
I don't think so.
I'm not starting Waddle.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't start Waddle either. I was honestly kind of low on Waddle to begin with when the year started, but now, with the quarterback situation, it's just like, it's Tyreek or bust, or Achane. Like, I think Waddle's just going to kind of, maybe we're wrong. Maybe this is one of those weird situations where Tyreek just doesn't get targeted and Waddle goes crazy. I know that's not what you want to hear.
No, I mean, it's in
happens.
the range of
That's
outcomes.
The weird thing. Yeah, like it's a really weird thing where like, that's even sometimes the defense's fault where they're like, okay, this guy, who do you think this guy's going to target coming into the game? He's going to go with his safety blanket, Tyreek Hill, who can burn everybody. So they triple and double cover him, and then Waddle's just open the entire game. So you never really know. Yeah. It's just always weird. So maybe you do start Waddle if you're in a deep league and you got him. But
you heard it from Jordy, not from me.
Hey, I'm not telling anyone what to do anymore. All right.
But and I will say, like, if you're like desperate at tight end, Jonnu Smith has been looking better, and he'll be in that close radius, But I think McDaniel is going to scheme some stuff up specifically for Tyreek. That's your only hope right now is Achane and Tyreek. They just get the ball in Tyreek's hands. Yeah, get the ball in Achane's hands.
He'll probably get a couple carries.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, 49ers Rams 44.5 over under. 49ers favored by 7.
Give me the Rams.
All right.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
There's the hot take of the week.
Honestly, like, I think it is going to be easier to draw up a game plan for the Niners this week because there's no Debo. So I don't know. I don't ever doubt Matthew Stafford, man. I'm sorry, I don't. I know it's looked rough, but that dude can pop off randomly, and I can see this being one of the games that the Rams like sneak in and grab the W.
Woo. Okay, so is that official?
Yeah, I'll make it official. I'll give me the Rams.
Okay.
Give me the Rams by 3.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Jordan's been having, like, every week, we didn't even plan it, but he's had these spicy hot takes that have been hitting.
Yeah.
And but I think that, so what I want to figure out with this spread, only 7 points, is do they just think the Cardinals are that good? Because the Cardinals shut them down. And like, I will say, this is another whole week to plan for not having Cooper Kupp. So it is like on the fly, like all of a sudden Cooper's out of the game. But I mean, it wasn't looking good before he left the game.
Right.
They were locking him up. And
yeah. I think he was hurt coming into that game, to be honest. It looked like it to me. Like, I think the week before, dude, he had like 20 targets. The dude looked like a zombie on the bench. So I think he was probably just like, man, my body's beat up. You know, he's like, the dude's a Triple Crown winner. Like, you know, his body's been through it. Like, we're getting to that age where Cooper Kupp's gonna start getting banged up a lot, and he's already had a long injury history. So I think that's just gonna be Cooper Kupp's risk. Is like, is he ever gonna be able to stay healthy for a whole season? I don't think so.
Yeah, because he's had like you were talking about the Triple Crown. He's had a lot of miles, a lot of targets.
It's rough,
you know,
man.
like
that's like CMC. Like the CMC coming into this year, I was completely out on CMC. I took him in one league because it fell into my lap. It made sense to, but like, I knew this was coming. The dude's got 5,500 carries on his body, like with CMC. So it's like that your body doesn't just forget about that, man. And that's the same thing with Cooper Kupp. He's got like 3,000 touches, you know, with like all sorts of catches and stuff. That's just in the NFL, not mentioning college, not mentioning anything else. It's like, where do you think that's gonna go, man? Like, your body's eventually gonna get beat up.
And these aren't like spread out over a really long period of time. These are like multiple seasons where he's getting just a ridiculous amount of targets.
Crazy.
So yeah, maybe Sean McVay, you know, because Jordan Whittington, he looked solid. He'll be they're saying he's going to be the replacement for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, Tutu Atwell looks solid again.
Did he?
Yeah, he had a couple of targets. I thought he looked all right.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of picturing, you know, Demarcus Robinson will have to step up. But I feel like
Tutu Atwell had 4 targets for 48 yards. So
so he grabbed all of them?
Yeah.
4 for 4.
Okay. And you know, he's averaging 8 yards a carry. Yeah, he's a really speedy guy. So he's always one in my eyes that's like an Alex Pierce type guy, like touchdown or bust, but like speedy. But now he's gonna get a lot of opportunities. So I don't know. Tutu Atwell is definitely on my radar. Yeah,
Jordan Whittington looked good in the preseason. So yeah, if McVay has a whole week to just get these guys in starter mode, maybe we'll be surprised. I mean, I think with what the Cardinals defense did to them last week, Stafford had 0 time. That offensive line is absolutely horrendous. And I think the 49ers defense is much scarier than the Cardinals defense. So will be interesting to watch.
Yep.
All right. My favorite game of the week, Detroit Lions versus the Arizona Cardinals. 51.5 over under. Oof. Lions favored by 3.
That's a big over under.
Yeah, that's the highest one on the week. And I can't wait, man. After the way the Cardinals looked last week and almost beating Buffalo in week 1, I'm so excited for this. There's just fantasy gold all over this matchup. Yeah. Daily fantasy, underdog, pick 'em. Like I'm going to be all over this one. But so yeah, both of these teams look good. Lions have a longer history of being in this, contention mode. I'm not saying the Cardinals are a legit contender, but if they look this way still, week 6, week 7, you got to start believing what you're seeing, but I think the Lions coordinator is Ben Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And him scheming up like back and forth. I mean, this is two of the best offensive coordinators in the league right now with Drew Petzing. Like, so this is going to be fun. Both teams have a very balanced offense. You've got Connor and like just basically the workhorse, solid run game. And then you've got the opposite side of that with Gibbs and Montgomery. We've got Jamison Williams and St. Brown, and then on the opposite side you've got Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, so I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait for this one. I think the Cardinals are going to pull it off. I believe it's in Arizona. So yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals will win this game for sure.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, the closest Vegas could get to believing is making it within 3 points, which is already a compliment to the Cardinals with how good this Lions team is. But I think the Cardinals are for real, and I think that they're running with momentum right now, and they're healthy. But I'm not. I think James Conner is going to eat, even though this defensive line is stout. They're really tough against the run. I just think Drew Petzing's schemes with these extra tight ends and stuff, and it's like, okay, if you pay attention to James Conner too much, you're going to leave Marvin Harrison Jr. wide open out there, and then you've got like a mobile quarterback. So this is going to be a fun one. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I mean, all of the typical studs, fire them up. I'm still down on Sam Laporta. I was so shocked. I just wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting Jamison Williams to just take over like the target share like that. But he's playing too good not to. Like, and so it's looking like Sam Laporta has been the odd man out because they just have too many weapons on offense. So you're not going to not start Sam Laporta. I'm not saying to bench him, but I think his overall ceiling is not going to be what people were expecting coming into the league this year.
Right.
All right, we have the Ravens versus the Cowboys. Another high over under 48.5. Ravens favored by 1. So they're expecting this to be close. I think Dallas wins this game.
Yeah, I think we need to bounce back. I think it's going to be a close game for sure because I think Dallas's run defense is looking a little shaky right now. And I think Derrick Henry and Lamar, they're always tough to scheme for. I mean, how do you? It's just kind of, it's going to be a tough matchup. I think we're going to win this game, obviously, by the offense just outscoring them here. I think it's going to be a high over under too. I think this game, I think the 47.5 is definitely fair. I think Dak, really gets it going here. I'm torn because I don't really know who I want to start in this game fantasy wise because my quarterbacks are Lamar and Dak. I feel like I want to start Dak because I think our defense is going to strap up and kind of play well here. So it's going to be an interesting one. I'm taking the Cowboys. Obviously, my fandom might be getting in the way of that, but I think our run game is really not in a great spot, but I think we'll make up for it by hopefully just keeping the Ravens from scoring too much. But I really have no idea. I don't know if the Saints were just that good or if the Cowboys just fell on their face, but I need to see it because I don't really know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, my opinion is I do think the Saints are just that good.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to overreact. I've already done that enough through the first 2 weeks, but I haven't seen the Ravens look good. Didn't they just lose to the Raiders? Was that the
they did lose to the Raiders. Yep.
And now you're playing in Dallas. Like Kansas City was able to scheme up, take Mark Andrews out of the game. Out of the game plan in week 1, and then you go and you really need to bounce back after that loss and you lose to the Raiders. Like, I think the Cowboys are really good. I think that the Saints are just on an absolute scorcher right now. And I could be 100% wrong about this and we could see the Saints come back to earth this week. But if it's just like, you're dropping over 40 points week 1, and then you go into Dallas and then drop over 40 points. Dallas looked solid, relatively solid to start. I mean, they had a little bit of trouble. I guess they did have a little bit of trouble getting their offense going against the Browns, but I mean, they controlled that game,
Yeah.
So I don't think the Ravens look that good right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for fantasy, you said you were trying to choose between Dak and Lamar.
I think I'm going with Dak this week. I think our defense is going to try to make a statement in this game of like, okay, we're going to shut down the run game. We're going to really load the box and not let Lamar get out, and contain him. But because I don't really think, like, honestly, Zay Flowers, like, I like Zay Flowers a lot, but I feel like he is one of those guys who has to work insanely hard to get production. So, against a defense like the Cowboys, obviously the Saints ran all over us, and that was really the big issue there. So I hope that we can stop the run game here and just, not let Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews really get out and do anything too crazy.
Yeah. Sneaky start this week is at a sneaky start this week at tight end. I think you pronounce it Schoonmaker.
Yeah. Schoonmaker or Schoonmaker, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Schoonmaker, and I've heard people say Schoonmaker. So you know who I'm talking about. The backup from Jake Ferguson. Looks like Jake Ferguson is not going to play, and Schoonmaker looked solid last week.
Yeah.
So if you're desperate at tight end and need someone to stream, like, I think that's like a decent stream. And you've been talking about Jalen Tolbert, right?
Yeah, I love Jalen Tolbert.
9 targets last week.
Yep.
I think CD is going to get a lot of attention, and I'm very excited for this game. So there's not a whole lot that I mean, the thing with the Ravens right now is like Derrick Henry's not being utilized like we expected coming into the season, and a lot of these like statistical ratings and rankings are kind of inflated because of like single games. Like anyone that the Saints face while they're hot like this, it's going to completely jack up the rankings on the defensive side of things. So I think the Cowboys are better than it looked last week.
Yeah, that's where they're ranked right now. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, so I'm not saying Henry's not going to have a productive game, but if the Ravens win this game, in my opinion, it's because Derrick Henry, they utilized him like vintage Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to do that. Maybe they are, because they're 0-2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they need to win this game. What's the Cowboys? Are they're 1-1, right?
1-1, yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be a fun one. Obviously fire up CD. I do like Jalen Tolbert this week too. Schoonmaker, like we said, don't start him over, like a stud.
Right.
but all right. Cool. So my Siri just thinks I'm talking to her. Chiefs Falcons 46.5 over under, and Chiefs are favored by just 3.5. I'm excited for this.
This is the Sunday night game.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that's
Prime
gonna be a fun one.
And the Falcons defense kept that game really close against the Eagles. And then I want to believe, and I'm a Bijan owner, but the Falcons not looking as electric as we were hoping coming in hasn't really affected Bijan too much. He's still getting it's been a step in the right direction for Bijan. Way more usage, being utilized like a workhorse now. And I think Tyler Algier is a little bit banged up right now still. So I'm excited for Bijan. This is a really tough matchup for Bijan. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I think, like, I want to believe that the end of that game, that last game-winning drive, was the spark the Falcons needed to kind of right the ship a little bit.
Yeah.
And I hope that they are getting in rhythm, because that was such a fun ending to that game.
Yeah.
On the Chiefs side of things, there's no running backs for fantasy that I'm confident enough to start this week. I just need to wait and see like how that backfield looks.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a committee.
Yeah, me too. If you're really in a pinch, like let's say you're just like, I mean, let's say you're just really, you're desperate. who are you pushing your chips in on for like a flex or an RB2 for the Chiefs?
Probably Carson Steele right now.
Getting the early down work.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I think what's going to mainly happen in this game is I think, one, we're going to see Kelsey really take off. And I think, two, I think Xavier Worthy's going to get like 4 or 5 carries in this game. I think they're really going to get him involved in the running game and let him kind of try to get out in space. They're going to have to, because they know the Falcons they're going to know coming into this game that, okay, the running game is going to be something we have to worry about, but it's not going to be Pacheco running through our defense. So they're going to just really tally in on, all their receivers and make sure that they don't get out and do anything crazy. But I think Xavier Worthy, I think he's just too good in running out in space. So I think we see him on a lot of jet sweeps or a lot of short passes or, those crazy weird flicks up the middle to Kelsey or whatever it may be. I think the Chiefs really get deep into their bag for this game, and I think they'll pull it out. I can see them winning by like a touchdown or so.
I really want to see the upset.
I do too, because I don't like the Chiefs, but I think Kirk Cousins looked great. I think he looked really good in that last drive. So
yeah, and so I also, the Chiefs don't need a run game to,
right.
So I totally feel you on that. Like, this could just end up being Patrick Mahomes type of night where, because back in the day before Pacheco emerged, it was just, they were just moving the ball down the field and not really running much. And but I don't know, this Falcons defense is a little bit underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, they're good.
But Steve Spagnuolo, he's so good at just identifying how to take a team out.
I can't stand that guy.
He's so good.
He's so good. I know.
It's like his plan against the Ravens worked like a charm, but then they went and lost to the Raiders. So was it, it's like maybe
he's so good that he gets to call his own timeouts when he wants.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
I was like, what is happening?
So yeah, I'm feeling Bijan for sure. I think for like daily fantasy,
if I was in a deep situation where I had a decision to make for wide receiver and I had Darnell Mooney, I'm starting Mooney this week somewhere. If I'm in a situation where I have him and I don't like my other options, I think Darnell Mooney is going to have a career year. Honestly, I really do. I think the writing was on the wall in the last game. I know everyone wants to talk about Drake London, but I think Darnell Mooney just makes it too easy for Kirk Cousins. He's had plenty of time at this point in his career to kind of develop, and now he's got the guy that you want when it comes to getting out and making, really good plays. So I like Darnell Mooney a lot coming into this year.
Yeah. And I mean, for God's sakes, like they were going after Kirk for tampering. Like, he wanted Mooney.
Yeah.
It's like he went and recruited Mooney. So, he should, there's a narrative there for him to emerge.
Yeah.
Ray McLeod is looking pretty solid too.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have a huge game, but he's one of those guys.
He's like your Rashid Shaheed, like the dude is so fast.
Yeah, there were definitely opportunities in that game against the Eagles where if Kirk could have caught him, he had the separation and he would have been gone for but this is fun. Like, I'm excited to see. I want to see things continue to trend in the right direction because I think that they're going to be continuing to figure this out. But Drake London, like, I really want to see. I want to see what his ceiling looks like,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that covers that game. Let's go over. We got
Kyle Pitts, dude. Yeah. Kyle Pitts sucks. Yeah. I'm sorry.
He does. He's looking like a bust.
The dude looks. He looks like he's got like Dwight Howard's build, but he moves like Jason Witten. I'm like, I don't understand how a guy that looks like him moves as slow as he does.
Yeah, that's been the shocker from him, where every year, and so many analysts were just like, I know we say this every year, but Kyle Pitts,
no,
like,
I don't even want to hear it.
Dude, they were, and it's hilarious because the fantasy footballers have this episode they do every year where it's not like I think it's the My Guy episode,
Okay.
and where they have all these other analysts from all across, the sports world. They all chime in and they get these like video, little or audio recordings of all these big names giving their fantasy MVP. And 2 years ago, everybody was selecting Tony Pollard, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And this year, everybody was selecting Kyle Pitts. And I was like, so Kyle Pitts is this year's Tony Pollard, like as far as hype goes. And I couldn't believe how slow he looks this year. He doesn't look athletic. Like he's
No.
a big bodied guy. Hopefully he'll figure it out, but I don't know what to do about like if he just look that unathletic right now. Like, what do you do? Like, is it a will thing? Are you not just giving it that extra gear? Or if it's not that, then you can't just in a week's time just make yourself faster and make yourself,
Yeah.
So
It's
agree.
weird because coming out of college, he looks so dominant, but like, the first Desmond Ridder really left a birthmark on his career, I think. But now with Kirk Cousins, it's like you have no excuse, bro. That is one of the GOAT, like the legends of the sport. So it's like you got to make do with Kirk Cousins on your squad.
Yeah, and we'll see. Maybe we're being unfair, but not high on him. So Monday we have 2 games, which is exciting, and I wish the NFL wouldn't have these games intersect with each other.
Yeah,
but at least they're not starting them at the same time like they did last year. But we got one game at 7:30 Eastern and one game at 8:15. So the first game is the Jaguars versus the Bills. 45.5 over under. Bills favored by 5.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean,
you would think the Bills would win this game.
Yeah,
are the Jags 0-2?
So. I think they are. I'm not totally sure. I'd have to.
I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, while you're looking that up, I'll start breaking into it a little bit. But
yeah, they're.
But yeah,
they're
I mean,
0-2. That's real.
0-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About to be 0-3.
And yeah, most likely. But yeah, 5-point spread, 45.5. I think for fantasy, you're just hoping this isn't just a James Cook game again for the Bills. If you're a James Cook owner, you're totally fine with that. You're locked and loaded there. But it's pretty wild how it even affects Josh Allen for fantasy when James Cook has those monster games. So we'll see. I'm excited to see how like each week I enjoy seeing the continual like emergence of Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh yeah.
He just looks like the clear-cut best wide receiver on the team.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll learn a little bit more about the situation with Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Because that almost feels like it's turning into a battle right now.
Yeah,
as far as touches go.
It's interesting because even last week, where Tank didn't get involved at all, really, they're still like, that's not because we don't like him. It's just because he needed the rest. So it's cool because now I think maybe like he dominated the snap share week 1. If he comes back and looks really good in this game, maybe he makes a big statement here. Like I'm excited as a Tank owner. I've had him, since he came in for Dynasty, but he's just been sitting on my taxi squad. I call him Taxi Tank, but he's been just sitting there. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. But man, for the ETN owners, you guys got to be sweating bullets right now because
he was drafted high.
Yeah, really high. I mean, what was his ADP? Like first or second round?
Yeah, second round at least.
Yeah,
I don't think people were grabbing him in the third round, but yeah, and then we'll also another week where we hopefully get a little bit more information on a potential wide receiver 1 for the Bills, unless this is just going to be what we do all year.
I think it's
every week it's someone different.
I think so.
We were talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Keon Coleman thing is so bizarre. Like week 1, dude looks like okay, this is an emerging talent, and then week 2, did he even have a catch?
No.
Yeah,
he did not.
So
why am I blanking on their oh yeah, I was shocked. Week 1 he had 30% target share. Wasn't like a ton of volume, but and then we were talking about Sam Laporta earlier. Dalton Kincaid is another one. 84% of snaps week 1, 2 targets, 1 reception, full PPR. Full PPR, 2.1 fantasy points. Week 2, 42% of snaps. So that's not going to cut it.
No.
He got more targets, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 33 yards, goes for 7.3 fantasy points.
Yeah, I think week 2 is a little tough because James Cook just went absolutely ballistic in the first.
That's a good point.
So I think maybe they're just like, okay, this game is kind of just, we got it. Like, let's Tua gets knocked out. They just ran the clock out. So that was a weird game all around. So I don't know. You know what I thought was craziest about that game is DeMar Hamlin had like 11 tackles. Like, what a comeback story. The dude, literally kind of drops over on the field, and then now he's back up and being an insanely good talent again. It's wild. Yeah.
And last year was his rookie year, wasn't it?
No, I don't think so. I think he's 3 years in, 3 or 4 years in.
Okay. I know he was pretty, I know he's pretty young still.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kincaid, hopefully we see a little bit more involvement this week because he was drafted pretty high.
Yeah.
He wasn't drafted like super high, but we thought the narrative was going to be like, oh, they don't have a definitive wide receiver 1. Dalton Kincaid's going to eat this year.
Yeah. I hope he gets going because I took his year-long prop for over 60 or 78.5 receptions. He's only at 5, so he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. All right. Second game, the 8:15 game on Monday is going to be the Commanders versus the Bengals. 47-point over under. Bengals favored by 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, this should be a good week fantasy wise for the Bengals. Like, I think obviously we all like whoever the opposing team's leading number 1 wide receiver is usually has like monster games against this Commanders defense. But it's interesting with this drama with Jamar Chase. So Jamar Chase, obviously you're firing him up. He's probably he has a good chance of just absolutely going off this week for fantasy. I thought I saw that T. Higgins, let me double check. I thought I saw T. Higgins might be trending in the right direction.
I hope so. I want to see him back out there.
Yeah, questionable. Planning to play Monday.
Nice.
Okay. So yeah, this actually could get pretty nasty if Chase and T. Higgins are good to go. And Yoshivas, who has been exciting for fantasy, if you've had the guts to start him, he's been getting you touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns for 5 yards. Yeah. He's just catching tutties, man. That's it.
And then week 1, I think he got like 8 receptions. And you know what? Something we do know that's been kind of nice to just get cleared up early in the season is Zach Moss is the guy out there. All this, crazy talk about Chase Brown. And I was buying into it at the end. I was like, I'm going to go get me some Chase Brown. And thank God I didn't make any drastic trades in Dynasty because I was thinking about it. But I did grab him in a couple best ball leagues and some redraft leagues. And that's not looking, it looks like it's all Zach Moss. On the opposite side of the field, the Commanders, Brian Robinson is just looking like a really good running back. To me.
Yeah, he looks solid.
So
I think Jaden Daniels is gonna have a good game here though, because I don't think the Bengals defense looks that good. So I think Jaden Daniels will have a really good week.
Yeah, don't the Bengals have like some decent rookies on their defense that are kind of like sort of
probably. I know they drafted
growing.
Yeah.
kind of like a work in progress, but
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels is going to continue to grow in confidence too, regardless. Like, I think last week it looked a little rough, but I think they get it back into somewhat of a good thing going here. You know, it looked really good against Tampa Bay when he played them. He put up a pretty
running wise.
Yeah.
For fantasy.
Yeah, for fantasy, he's going to be solid all year, I think. But last week, 29 for 23, 226 yards, no interceptions. That'll do, man. Like, you had some touchdowns in there, 10 carries. Like I said, I kind of nailed it there when I said, it was going to still be in the double-digit carry range. I didn't see him dipping below that. But 10 carries for 44 yards, averaging 4.4 yards a carry. Didn't turn the ball over against the Giants, which is good. But I think it's just going to get better. I think these games where he's getting in there and not making too many mistakes, I think it's just going to continue to grow his confidence. And I think he does look solid. So,
yeah, I think this is more of a Cliff Kingsbury thing. Like, I think Cliff Kingsbury just needs to start opening up the playbook a little bit more for him.
Yeah, I'm out on Cliff, man. I don't like his play calling at all.
Yeah, and maybe this is just like a work in progress, but he is, he's utilizing Brian Robinson at kind of like he did James Conner back in the day.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I want to see, because I mean, gosh, I need to take an alpha brain. Who's their best receiver? Like, why is it
Terry
escaping
McLaurin?
me? Yeah, McLaurin. I was really excited at the idea of him having a breakout year, but they haven't really been scheming things up to let him eat.
Yeah.
Well, he had 8 targets last week. He's getting the snaps. Obviously, he's going to be on the field, but we'll see. Maybe Cliff can get it a little bit. I mean, there you can see things getting a little bit better each week. So this will be a fun one. And it's just nice having 2 games on Monday night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've spent plenty of time talking about the slates. Let's get into our DraftKings picks, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
All right. You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Cool. So at my quarterback spot, I've got Brock Purdy. Feeling good about Brock Purdy coming into this game. They've got a good matchup here. I think he's going to have a little bit of a bounce back week, and I think there's some correlation things I like here. So I'm taking Brock Purdy. I'm running it back with Jordan Mason. The price tag's just too sweet. Is he at 6,200 right now? So just too good of a price tag going into this game. I really like that price tag with him going up against the Rams. So really like that. So taking Jordan Mason. For my RB2 spot, I've got Tony Pollard. I think this is a good matchup for Tony Pollard. I think it's just looked better and better. 17 attempts last week for 62 yards. 5 receptions as well. So for a full PPR scoring process like DraftKings has, I want all of that. So liking Tony Pollard. Taking Malik Neighbors again. This dude went absolutely crazy. I think this is just, kind of an obvious one. Like Malik, 10 receptions on 18 targets for 127 yards. I think we just continue to see him in double-digit targets. So going back to that with Malik Neighbors, I'm actually going to go with Brandon Ayuk for my wide receiver 2 spot. I think with no Debo, I think he's going to get fed finally. So kind of banking on Brock to get him the ball and for Brandon to finally, start breaking out. My wide receiver 3 spot, I've got JSN. I think JSN, the 16 targets, 12 receptions, I think he continues to grow as well. And I think I want a piece of JSN in this game. So really liking that matchup for him. Tight end, I'm running it back with Brock Bowers. This dude's just too good. 9 for 9. He had 9 targets, 9 receptions. He still has yet to find the end zone, but I think that changes this week. I think he's going to be able to get in there against Carolina. You would kind of hope that he finds his way into the end zone at least once. So that's who I'm going for tight end. In my flex spot, I've got Jordan Whittington. I think Jordan Whittington is going to be, the wide receiver 1 for the team for now. So That's kind of what I'm going with here. I'm gonna throw in Jordan Whittington in my flex, and I'm taking the Raiders defense.
All right, and Raiders are matched up against Panthers.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, we'll see. I hope Jordan Whittington gets a lot of looks. He's supposed to be playing that Cooper Kupp role. I just don't know if it's going to be that quick. I was kind of thinking about it, but yeah, let me get into mine. Before we do, I'll let you guys know Jordan did win last week.
Yeah.
143.14 points is what I got. He got 166.14.
Gotcha. We got him.
Yeah, we each have one win on this little DFS showdown. All right. Kyler Murray is going to be my quarterback. I just want a lot of pieces.
Shocker.
As much as I can, with the highest over under on the week at 51.5. And so Kyler Murray. And then for my running back, I'm going with Alvin Kamara against Philly. I don't want to jinx it, but I just think they're going to just go in there and stomp Philly, playing in New Orleans, and the dude just had a 47-point game. Cut that in half, and I'm still happy. So obviously, I don't think there's anybody not taking Jordan Mason, especially against that Rams defense right now. Things just look really bad for the Rams. So I love this play. And then we've got my my first wide receiver is going to be Rashid Shaheed. I love this matchup against Philly. Again, I think that they're just going to continue with what they've been doing, just on this heater they've been on. I also took JSN at wide receiver. I just can't ignore the targets last week. Matchups a little bit tough, but I like him to continue where he left off last week. I think that's kind of been the talk coming into the season, is getting him a lot more involved, but he was very productive with all of those looks. So, and then I'm going to be going with Jameson Williams as my wide receiver 3. Again, I think he's going to just keep up the sort of burner he's been on. He's definitely he's locked in as a significant part of this offense. Got a high over under. I think it's going to be a fun shootout to be a part of. And then I was talking about Schoonmaker earlier. I love this at 3,300. Especially knowing Jake Ferguson is looking like he's going to probably miss this game. The Ravens are 29th against tight ends, so I love that matchup, and that value at 3,300 is great. And then at my flex, I've got James Conner. This is a tough matchup. The Lions are number 1 against running backs right now, for DFS at least. And I just think I'm a believer in Drew Petzing and what he's doing, and I don't think that they're going to just shut him down. So I think that he's going to continue this run he's been on. I think he's now 7 straight fantasy games in the mid-20s. So I don't think it's going to slow down this week personally. And then I'm taking the Buccaneers for defense at 3,000, going against Denver in Tampa Bay. I just think that Tampa Bay is going to eat against this offense. So that's going to do it for the show. Let us know what you're getting into. If you have any fantasy questions, just drop us a comment, and we will get back to you. We get back to people. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed, and give us a like if you enjoy the content. I know this was a long one. We were just having fun with it today, but very excited for this weekend. And don't forget to take advantage of all of the specials going on at Underdog. Code Backdoor, get hooked up with all of those goodies. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will catch you tomorrow for our picks video.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a comment. You can also find us on all platforms at Backdoor FS.